Hi, honey. How was your day? That was the way his mother had always greeted him when he came home from school. Sure, she worked, but she arranged her hours so she was always there when he got home. But things had been different lately. For the past few weeks, she hadn't been herself at all. Sometimes she didn't even go to work. On those days, she barely did anything except lie in bed and sleep most of the time. He hoped today wouldn't be one of those days. He'd walk through the door, and after she asked him about his day, he'd tell her a knock-knock joke to cheer her up. Then she'd tell him his favorite joke. Knock, knock. Who's there? Lena. Lena who? Lean a little closer. I want to tell you a secret. And when he did, she would give him a kiss. David nervously put his key in the apartment door and opened it. The sickly smell of sour milk and cereal turned to mush greeted him as he walked into the apartment. Not a pleasant greeting from his mom. He saw that the breakfast dishes were still on the table. David sighed as he cleared the table and threw the cereal into the sink. "David, is that you?" He heard a faint voice from the bedroom. Suddenly, dealing with the cereal didn't seem so bad after all. Now, he would have to go into her room and see her lying in that unmade bed. He wanted to cheer her up, make her feel better. But the truth was, he dreaded going into the room. It scared him so much. He'd have to tell her about his day while she said nothing. Pretend that things were great, when the truth was that sometimes he worried so much at school he couldn't concentrate. What, he wondered, if the same thing happened to him someday? Nobody told him what was wrong with her, but he thought he knew anyway. Depression. He'd learned that much from watching Oprah. That's when people slept all the time and couldn't get out of bed in the morning and talked about killing themselves. What if it was catching, like the flu, or the cold you knew you'd got because someone sneezed on you? What if someday he became a blob just like she was? A mound lying in bed so hidden you couldn't even tell if there was a real person under all those covers. Knock, knock. Who's there? Nobody. Worse yet, what if he'd caused her depression? He had to admit he wasn't perfect. Sometimes she yelled at him for not doing things, like leaving his bedroom a mess, or forgetting to pick something up at the grocery store. She'd been on his case a lot lately, especially during the past few weeks. Why did things have to change? She'd always been so proud of him. He was a really good student, especially in math and science. Figuring out how things worked was his specialty, and his teachers were always asking him for help when anything broke down in the classroom. In fact, his fifth-grade teacher, Mr. Burns, told him he should become an engineer when he grew up. Yes, that's what he would do, become an engineer. Why didn't his mom notice the good things he did anymore? Just the bad. He tried not to think of it as he sighed again and headed for the door. Just then, the phone rang. Saved. A momentary reprieve before he had to walk into the darkened room and carry on a one-way conversation with someone who seemed like an alien from another planet, not his real fun-loving mom. It was his Aunt Sarah. "Hi, honey. How's Mom and how are you?" Should he tell her? Should he tell her he hated to see his mother like this and how angry he was? Yes, angry that his real mother had disappeared somewhere in those bed sheets. "Fine," he said. "Just fine."